Today, the topic which I am going to cover is analytical paragraph. Yesterday, one of my student and viewer, she asked me about this. Her name was, as per as I recall, Yasmi from 10th class. So she asked me about this particular topic. So I thought I got one of very unique topic to cover, though my students are not aware with. So let's continue with the topic, analytical paragraph writing, right? So very firstly we will discuss about the format. The format is like this. You need to keep it in your mind three things: introduction, then body of the paragraph, then conclusion, right? Yes, beta. Akshans, thank you for joining, beta. Though I am not in the mood to share among groups, I will cover up the topic, then I will share it. Okay? So format of the analytical paragraph writing is that in introduction, what you are supposed to write, explain in one or two lines subject of the graph given. So you have to keep it in mind, it is analytical, means analysis of some given chart, paragraph, or some sort of pie chart sort of thing. Very good evening, beta. Good evening, Ritika. Thank you for joining, beta, all of you. So let's discuss that what can be added in the introduction part. The introduction is the first paragraph that should describe in brief what the graph is about. So it is, as I mentioned, that it is analysis of graph, and you have to write a complete paragraph on that particular paragraph. I mean that given graph or chart, right? So it should be like an opening paragraph that introduces the reader to the context of the chart given. When writing is introductory paragraph, right, you need not to go into the details. You just need to mention what is clearly evident from the chart or the paragraph given in the question, right? So you need to keep it in mind. You need not to add on your additional information. You need to stick to the information which is given, evident, which is evident in the paragraph, right? In the graph, given graph. It is best to write the introduction in one or two lines, right? So they have given fair idea that you should not exceed more than 1 to 2 lines in introduction part, right? Next, switch to the body of the paragraph. This part of the analytical paragraph should be contain details of the graph chart given in the question. It should contain all the important information. It is extremely important to choose the significant details that should be included in the paragraph. Saroj Pathuru. Good evening, ma'am. It's our pleasure. Please tell me how many words should be written. With 100 to 120 words, right? Ideally, you should write either 100 or 120. Need not to exceed that word limit. Okay? For analytical paragraph writing, right? So that's why they mentioned that the introduction part should be covered in one to two lines. And it should be evident, it should be given in the chart or the graph. Okay. So the body can be broken into 2 or 3 sub paragraphs depending on the information extracted from the graph, right? Breaking the body into sub paragraphs makes it easy for the reader to understand. Okay, why we need to break the sentence and break the paragraphs into 2 3? Because it gives good comprehension, good understanding about the topic. If you are writing just in one long paragraph, then it would be not that much comprehensive, right? So that's why I try to break it into part wise and information wise, right? And how you need to organize the paragraph, you can organize in the following form. Organizing information, you should look for the large difference that are very prominent, and you can mention the aspect which is smallest or largest in the data given. Okay, whatever the data is given in the graph or the chart, you need to mention it in the first paragraph. What you are writing, you should mention that, right, that aspect. You should further mention about the aspect that has remained unchanged or constant throughout. Okay, so Rose Patnuru, please tell me how many books. Yes, I already informed. Tell me different introduction lines as the pie chart represents. The pie chart describes like this. Yes, beta. This will be the beginning line, right? The pie chart describes like this. Okay, your introduction should be begin like this. Or whatever the pie chart, if it is given, or any sort of bar graph is given, you need to stick to that. You need to mention this, that the pie chart or the graph describes like this. It should be your beginning. It should be your introductory line, right? So then your second line, your second paragraph should be related with the comparing information. Suppose two informations are given, so there should be a comparison. Likewise, one data is given regarding previous year and one data is given regarding this year. Otherwise, like some data is given regarding for men and some data is given regarding women. So there should be a proper comparison, right? So this particular paragraph should be comparing information. If the chart mentions two different parties, for example, men and women, refer to both of them in the analytical paragraph. If there is any contrast or comparison or highlights trends of several years, mention each year in a concise manner. If any comparison or contrast can be done for two or more years, you should write about it too. Okay, so you should compare. Firstly, compare. If 2 years are given, there should be comparison. If more than 2 years are given, then that information should be also mentioned, right? Next paragraph is should be mentioning quantities, right? So when including numbers or figures, their accuracy must be ensured. Okay, it should be accurate. You should not add your opinion, your point of view. You should be stick to the data which is given in proper chart or the graph, right? There are a number of ways that can be used to describe quantities. For example, percentage, fractions, ratios, etc. Right? And the last paragraph, they are mentioning that connecting sentences. If different information or ideas are there, you should use connectors or linking phrases to link them logically, right? The sentences of the paragraph should be sequential and connected rationally, right? It should be in a proper sequence, not here and there. Flow should be maintained, right? And the last paragraph should be conclusive, right? So the last paragraph should be summarize the idea, mention and information in general. It should be concluding in nature and act as a conclusive closing statement. One should keep in mind that one must not include any personal opinions, conclusions, or observations, right? You should avoid that you are not supposed to mention any of the opinion, what you personally observe. You need not to write your observations. You need to avoid such thing, right? While writing analytical paragraph, it should be totally based on the facts, right? Accurate facts which is given in that particular chart, right? So there is no place for your opinion, your observation, your conclusion, right? You should simply stick to the facts, and you need not to dispose of the information to write a good analytical paragraph. The key is to choose wisely the important information, organize it well, state correct facts, summarize it properly, right? Now, you need to keep it in mind useful tips for writing an analytical paragraph. First point should be you should keep it in your mind, that is, for an introduction you can start with the following phrases: the chart given above describes, the table suggests, the line graph shows, the data given provides information about. So these are the phrases given. How to begin, how to just introduce your analytical paragraph. So these are the some few phrases given, right? And you need to follow these phrases in your starting line, right? That the chart is given about, the table suggests, the line graph shows, the data given provides information about, and the pie chart illustrates, etc. Okay, so these are the ways how to begin your analytical paragraph, right? Next is second point, what you need to keep in your mind: for describing trends, use phrases, the words like a pattern of growth, rapidly doubled, and skyrocketed, striking increase, peaked, soaring rates, decline, plummeted, leveled off, stagnated, fluctuate, starting to rise, starting to fall, drop down, slightly, etc. Third point, what you need to keep it in your mind: describing quantities. While writing this paragraph, what you can use various styles like 48% off, one third off, nearly one fourth off, almost 80%, majority, on average, twice as much, and almost equal, the highest, the lowest, very close to 2%, approximately 5% off, just under 3%, etc. can be used while mentioning, describing the paragraph which is related with the quantity, right? Fourth paragraph, what we discussed about the contrast that can be established. Use phrases and words like relationship between, similarly, in contrast with, in comparison to, but in the opposite case, however, whereas, when it comes, as opposed to, why, striking difference, noticeable difference, etc. can be used, right? So for the conclusion, in concluding paragraph, what you can use, overall, subsequently, in all, in a nutshell, for the chart given, in short, striking changes, including, and therefore, etc. can be used in the concluding lines. Okay? So this way you need to sum up and conclude your analytical paragraph writing. Here are few examples I've given. I'm telling you, it is one of the chart given. Below a graph given, below is a graph given showing birth and death rates in a country from 1901 to 2101. Write an analytical paragraph in 100 to 150 words. So how will you write? I'm just reading. Just listen to it carefully. The paragraph shows birth and death rates starting from 1901 to 2101. Since 1901, the birth rate has remained more than the death rate until 2041. Birth rate was 20,000 in 1901. It started increasing gradually. It peaked in 1961 to around 65,000 65,000 from 1961. Birth rate has fluctuated multiple times between 50,000 and 60,000. It is expected to decline for the coming years, reaching approximately 42,000 by 2101. On the other hand, the death rate stood at around 10,000 in 1901 and then has increased steadily. It is expected to rise strikingly from 2021 before leveling off to approximately 60,000 between 2061 and 81. The paragraph indicates a slight decline in deaths in the year 2101. The paragraph shows the huge gap between birth rate and death rate during 1961 to 2001. However, this gap is expected to reduce in the later years. Overall, as opposed to prevailing trends, the death rate will be more than the birth rate in the later half of the 21st century. So this was the conclusion in the last line, and it was about 150 words of analytical paragraph. Another paragraph we can discuss about pie chart. One pie chart is given. The pie chart shows the proportion of people from different households living in poverty in the UK in 2002. Write an analytical paragraph to describe the information in 100 to 120 words. So the pie chart shows that single age persons, aged couple, single without children, couple without children, sole parents, couple with children, all households. So the pie chart is divided into such categories. So how will you start this analytical paragraph? The given pie chart illustrates 7 different categories of households living in poverty in the UK in 2002. It is clearly evident from the pie chart that 26% of the total poverty-stricken households are those of sole parents. Single people without children account for the second highest proportion with 24%. In contrast to couples without children that accounts for just 9%, couples with children account for 15% of the poor households. Single-aged persons and aged couples proportion for 12% together for poor households. Overall, 14% of all households in the UK were living under poverty. The younger generation had a greater poor percentage than their aged counterparts. Couples without children had better economic conditions than those with children. So this way we concluded this whole pie chart, okay, and the data and information given. Right, beta? So we have discussed the format, the important key points, and as well as 2 examples related to analytical paragraph. So here we have done with, and not many questions are thrown. Let me see which conjunctions and phrases are used in analytical paragraph. And bit of phrases, everything I already mentioned, I guess. Good evening, ma'am. Anshika is there. Abhinav is there. Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, kal bagless day. No bagless day is there, beta. Ma'am, kal bagless day hai ki nahi? Beta, it is no bagless day. You know very well that you people are informed in well in advance, 3-4 days prior, right? So you got the notification for your PTM. So why you people are expecting bagless day? Are you teaching IELTS? No, beta, one of my child A student asked me about analytical paragraph. So that's what I was explaining. Ma'am, what are you teaching? Beta, analytical paragraph, okay? So you people can also. The question is of academic and it's, I guess, writing task. Yes, beta, it is undoubtedly related with the writing section. So beta, here I'm going to close the live stream today. Time is a big constraint these days. Very hectic schedule and a lot many things to do. So that's why I cannot exceed 30 minutes, though it is 21 minutes only. So I'm going to wrap up. Good night, loads of love and blessings to all of you. Thank you.